The sun cracked over Redstone Tactical School, splitting the sky with dry heat and raw light. Dust moved in horizontal slashes carried by the desert wind that knew no mercy. Training platoons shuffled under the weight of full gear boots grinding against gravel that burned through their souls. Captain Dana Reeve stood apart. She wore an old patrol cap faded by too many rotations and too little sunlight. Her uniform was pressed not because she wanted it to be, but because it was habit. Her boots weren't shiny. They were quiet. She held a range map in one hand and a laser anemometer in the other. She didn't speak unless spoken to. Most didn't speak to her. A recruit snickered under his breath, not enough to be noticed by the brass, but plenty loud for his buddies to hear. They called her the Map Lady, Wind Check Girl. One even said she probably got dumped into observation after failing field quals. The others laughed. Lieutenant Harlan walked by with his squad smug and loud, a clipboard tucked under his arm like a trophy. His eyes barely brushed over Dana. She nodded once. He didn't respond. Out at the line rounds cracked downrange. Misses. Wind flags flared in confusing spirals. Thermal plumes danced off the sand like ghosts invisible to the untrained eye. Dana tracked each one with a glance. Another group cycled through. More misses. She stepped closer, gave a wind read. Harlan laughed from behind his sunglasses. "Thanks, Map Lady. Maybe next time bring a magic wand." Dana didn't flinch. She didn't offer correction. She just stepped back, tapped a note into her pad, and scanned the terrain again. By mid-afternoon, nobody had come close to qualifying. Command staff grumbled from shaded tents. The colonel kept his arms crossed. Pentagon observers arrived late, clean uniforms, mirrored shades, the kind of posture only someone who hadn't been shot at in 10 years could hold. Harlan briefed them with confidence, assuring all issues were equipment-based, not training-related, certainly not tactical. Dana remained outside the conversation. The exercise would continue the next day. That night she left the range last. As always, Dana moved through the dark like she belonged to it. The base was quiet now. Only the whine of distant generators and the dry breath of desert wind remained. She opened the armory with a single key. Inside, on the third rack beneath a faded towel marked D, Reeve, sat her Barrett. M1007A1 tan ceramic coating suppressor fitted tight. She cleaned it weekly, shot it monthly, not for sport. For calibration, 1 round, hand-loaded, boat tail hollow point 60-60 grain, consistent powder-matched case length. She pocketed it and left. At the range, the stars showed through the cooling haze. Temperature was dropping fast. Air pressure was rising. Perfect conditions, or close enough. She moved like she'd done it forever. Mat unrolled. Scope mounted, bipod adjusted. No wasted motion, no checking twice. She lay prone, cheek resting against stock fingers, adjusting the rear bag by instinct. Wind from the east steady at 5. She waited. No timer, no orders. She exhaled. It came back sudden and sharp. Snow. Radio static. The sound of someone dying behind her saying her call sign through a cracked throat. Eagle 13. You've got this shot. That was Afghanistan. That was 1-800 meters. 1 convoy saved. 1 man lost. She didn't blame the wind. Or herself. Not anymore. She fired. No drama, no announcement. The impact echoed flat across the range. Metal hit center. Clean. Dead. A figure emerged near the range shack. Sergeant Malcolm. You want it logged? Dana. Stood. Packed the rifle. 1 nod. Doesn't need to be, she said. He watched her walk back toward the barracks. Didn't follow. Behind her, the wind changed again. She already knew. The next morning, Redstone's range buzzed with tension. Tripods clicked. Rifles chambered. Command tents snapped under rising thermals. Dana stood to the side holding a scope and a data pad. The Pentagon observers were already seated on the observation deck. Their insignias caught sunlight like blades. One of them whispered into a recorder. Another adjusted his notepad with robotic calm. Lieutenant Harlan strutted down the firing line. His tone was rehearsed. We're running real-time wind data today. Visibility's clear. Targets at 1,000 yards set to flash on impact. Dana crouched behind Team Bravo, her spotting scope already aligned. She spoke once softly. Crosswind from northeast. 7 steady, gusting to 10. Adjust 2 clicks left. The spotter didn't look at her. Sure thing, ma'am. Appreciate the input. They fired. 3 shots wide left, 1 low, no correction, no second try. Next team moved in. Same result. Frustration rose like heat shimmer. She stepped forward again. Quiet voice. Humidity's at 28. Barrel heat'll push your drift. Adjust. Half-click windage. A younger recruit turned toward her, smirking. You're not here to coach right. You're the wind spotter. Just hold steady. Harlan didn't intervene. His arms were crossed. The Pentagon officials said nothing, but the notes came quicker now. Team Charlie missed all 5 rounds. Misses weren't near misses. They were humiliation grade. Dana remained silent, jotting data on her pad. Her scope never wavered. A corporal muttered near her, "She's just here to count brass anyway." The comment wasn't challenged. It wasn't even whispered. She didn't move. She didn't blink. The wind shifted. Updraft from the west. High pressure front incoming. Dana noted the plume patterns in the sand, the slight vibration on the aluminum of the scope housing. Team Delta lined up. She gave a correction. No one responded. 3 shots fired. All off target. The colonel, watching from above, slammed a hand on the table. This is embarrassing. No one looked at Dana. She didn't expect them to. The range was silent that night. No footsteps. No targets. Dana moved downrange alone. She wore no helmet. No vest. Just boots and a baseball cap pulled low. She carried her rifle like it was part of her. A long bag in one hand. A mat rolled tight against her back. At the 1,000-yard mark, she knelt. A voice spoke from behind. "You gonna mark it, or you already know?" Sergeant Malcolm stepped from the shadows. No rank talk. No sarcasm. "I know," she said. He nodded once and moved to the side. No more questions. She laid prone. Adjusted the bipod. Slid the single round into the chamber like it was glass. Wind rolled soft from the north gusts, lifting just past the 700-yard line. Heat signature was low. Pressure stable. She adjusted for it all. She blinked once. Remembered the crunch of snow under prone elbows. A breath on glass. A voice lost in static. She pressed the trigger. The shot cracked like dry ice in silence. Metal rang. Dead center. Malcolm lowered his binoculars. Hell of a shot. She stood slowly, packed her mat. Said nothing. Want it logged? She paused. Doesn't need to be. He didn't argue. Just watched her disappear into the dark dust, kicking faint behind her boots. The wind turned. He looked back at the target. The hole was still smoking. The morning heat came early. By 0800, sweat already glistened off necks and forearms. The second day of the sniper evaluation began under tension. Targets were repainted. Wind flags rechecked. But nobody talked about the previous day's disaster. Too many missed shots. Too much silent disappointment. Dana stood in her usual spot behind the team's scope and tablet ready. Harlan glanced at her but said nothing. Team Echo stepped up. 2 missed shots. One barely grazed the paper. The last slammed low into sand. The colonel shifted in his seat, lips tight. A Pentagon observer looked up. Team Foxtrot rotated in, high confidence. Ex-Special Forces. They missed by half a foot. Harlan cursed under his breath. Malcolm moved. Quiet, direct. He stepped to the colonel. "Sir, respectfully request permission for Captain Reeve to demonstrate correct technique." 1 shot. Harlan snapped before the colonel could reply. "She's a contractor, not authorized to fire in active eval." The colonel stared across the range, then at the brass watching. He spoke without looking at either man. 1 shot only. Dana stepped forward without acknowledgement. She didn't meet eyes. Just walked the path down to the shooting position. Boots left no sound in the sand. She unfolded her mat. Set up the rifle. No wasted movement. No hesitation. She read the wind. 11 from northeast. Gusts shifting west at irregular intervals. Thermals rising. The barometric pressure had dropped since dawn. Most shooters didn't even factor it. She adjusted. The scope clicked once. The air went still. She pressed the trigger. Crack. The shot hit. Dead center. Bright flash on the target. The entire range went silent. No muttering. No second guessing. Even the flags held still. Malcolm didn't move. Harlan didn't breathe. Dana stood, picked up her rifle, and walked away without waiting. The colonel spoke once. That's how it's done. Footsteps echoed off the aluminum stairs of the viewing deck. A Pentagon general descended slowly, hat tucked under one arm. Dana turned halfway. She recognized the stride before the face. General Connors stopped 5 feet from her firing mat. Eagle 13. She straightened, not quite at attention, not quite relaxed. Sir. He looked toward the target, then back at her. You saved a convoy from ambush. Confirmed kill at 1-800 meters. You remember the terrain. Snow. Thin air. Mountain crosswinds. She nodded once. You lost your spotter that day. She didn't respond. You requested reassignment the following week. Said you'd never let another soldier go out unprepared again. Harlan stood frozen behind the firing line, his face unreadable. Connors turned to the colonel. Log her shot, name, date, distance, and write it in bold. Malcolm was already doing it. Dana walked over to Harlan. No emotion, no heat. She handed him a folded photo, black and white. A team standing under overcast sky. Faces young, tired. One man circled in pen. They held that record first. He looked from the picture to her. We didn't know. Exactly the point. She turned back toward the range. The breeze picked up. Flags shifted gently. Her name went up on the board 20 minutes later. Not under civilian. Under legend. Things changed, but not loudly. The record board now bore her name in bold lettering. Underneath, Malcolm had written in permanent marker, not just seeing, understanding everything. Recruits who used to laugh now sat front row at her terrain analysis sessions. They didn't ask about her shot. They asked about barometric drift, vapor trail distortion, how to read the shimmer just above ground level. She answered with diagrams, short phrases, a laser pointer across a plastic map. Never long speeches. Never the word hero. Harlan came to her office after hours. He didn't sit. I was wrong, he said. I'd be honored if you led the advanced course next cycle. She nodded once. Nothing more. Later that week, a young female trainee hovered by the range after class, nervous hands tucked behind her back. I almost quit last month, she said. Thought I didn't belong. But then, you. Dana looked at her, saw the boots scuffed from overcompensated posture, the eyes tired from pretending not to care. What changed your mind? The girl hesitated. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't chase respect. But when it mattered, you didn't miss. Dana nodded slowly. Quiet isn't weak. It's waiting. Train harder than you speak. The girl nodded back, then walked off straighter than she came. That evening, Dana cleaned her rifle alone. Routine. Calm. Familiar. The wind started shifting again. She checked its direction once, then smiled to herself. Not because she needed to shoot, because she knew she could.